And I'm Robert Kirkendall III.
And today we're going to open up with my video of the week. I actually just found this just a few minutes ago. I'm going to share my screen real quick so you can hear. Oh, is it going to do that thing? Please. Okay. It's going to take a sec. Sorry, I don't have a Jamie I can point to do something, so.
Yeah, that's all right. Is that what his name is on the tech guy? Is that his name on Joe Rogan's podcast?
Yeah.
I've heard
the guy. He calls him Young Jamie too.
Really? Because I've heard like compilations where we go, Jamie, pull it up. Jamie, can you pull it up?
There's a few times where he gets upset.
Oh
right.
Man.
Can you see my screen now? The YouTube.
Yeah.
Screen? Okay. So I'm just gonna play this. Tell me if you can hear it.
I told him
Yeah.
I'd kill him.
Okay, cool.
All that with the gun and get out of my house.
11-year-old Chris Gaither was home alone Wednesday morning when he heard a noise. Someone had broken into his house. Scared, Chris grabbed a 9mm handgun.
He doesn't sound that scared.
And told me he was gonna kill
No.
me if you all that.
Shooter made it out the front door with a hamper in hand. That's when Chris started firing off bullets. As the intruder was to jump this fence, Chris's 12th and final shot hit the bad guy in the leg.
I shot through a hamper that he was carrying, and it was a full metal jacket bullet. It went straight over his leg. And he started crying like a little baby.
A baby that learned his lesson.
So when I pulled the gun out on him, I guess he didn't think it was a real gun because he didn't worry about it. He just kept on walking.
The police have not released the name of the suspect, but Chris's mother says this man has robbed their house before. They don't know him personally. Chris credits his stepdad for his shooting skills.
Yeah, I play zombies for target practice.
Turns out there's more than a basset hound on guard.
I hope you learned a lesson from coming to his house trying to steal stuff.
Hey, NBC News.
Yeah, and I just thought that was so funny. Like, literally, oh, hold on.
Yeah, stop sharing, I think. There you go. Yeah.
I forgot this.
Sorry, I can't.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Okay, we're back.
Yeah, I thought it was funny. I think it's hilarious when someone says something crazy, the anchor still has to be like, but this baby didn't get away. Like, they still have to, like, say something. They still have to, like, curve it with their voice.
I love how he literally, the guy's like this. He's like holding it, and he's like, I honestly, I couldn't really tell what the kid was saying for some of it because he kind of spoke sloppily, not like, I'm not trying to make fun of him, right?
Like
but he's 11.
Accent.
Yeah. And it was kind of hard to understand him, but I remember he said something about like it going through the guy and like shooting him, and then you see the anchor, like it's like a wide, and the anchor's like, okay, all right, what else? Like he literally pushed the microphone just closer, like, all right, yeah, go, okay, like what do I do? Like, yeah, it's funny too to think that like this guy is like, what'd it feel like to shoot him? Like, and he's still like you said, I have to.
Not take into account the trauma that this kid faced, he doesn't care at all. And it's funny because if you're robbing a house and you see like a fat little 11-year-old, and he has a gun, there's no shot you think it's a real gun. Like, you know what I mean? You're just like, yeah,
well, like, even if you do, you're not thinking he's gonna hit me. I mean, that's what my point. I mean, even at 11, I just feel like kill shots were not an option for that guy. Like, could you imagine if it was like what's that movie? You remember that movie where that guy, I can't remember what it is, but this guy, I feel like this guy like gets robbed by somebody and then he just like starts murdering everybody. It's not John Wick, but John Wick would qualify. But he gets robbed by somebody, and in the middle of the robbery, all the robbers like realize that they messed up, and they're like, okay, like how do we get out? Like help, right? Like they start like freaking out, and they all start running away because this guy just starts mowing them down. And imagine if the 11-year-old was like that. Like the guy's like, okay, he's got a gun. Like, okay, guys, we need to get out. Like all of his robbing buddies would be like, dude, he's 11. Like, push him over. Say something mean to him. He'll probably cry. You know what I mean? Like, take his Xbox away.
Oh man, no, but it's funny to think that, like, and then the kid like could not care less. Like, this kid has seen some stuff. You know what I mean?
Dude, he said it.
Crying like a baby.
He said it. Yeah, he cried like a baby. He said it like his parents are like his like. He's buried a couple bodies. Like, this isn't his first body. I hope he, and I love how he said it too. He said it like it was like a Saturday morning cartoon. And I hope he learned his lesson not to rob people anymore. And I remember thinking, like, I don't know, when he said that, I keep on thinking, like, dude, I mean, you did shoot somebody. Like, why? It's funny to me in the sense, it reminded me of the one we watched a couple weeks ago with the hatchet guy, where, like, we have this tendency to, like, weirdly celebrate people who are, like, yeah, heroic, but, like, in a violent way. In the sense of, like, these people need help. You know what I mean? Like you remember when, okay, who is that guy? Who's the guy who became a famous actor after World War II? Like, he actually was a World War II veteran. He became a huge famous actor. Was it Audie Griffey? Yeah. Was it Audie Murphy? Yeah, Audie Murphy. Dude, and he had like, yeah, he had to reenact some of those scenes that he actually had, and I just think it's funny to me to think that, like, nobody ever was probably like, is this like traumatizing for you, like, to remember all those people you murdered brutally? Like, obviously heroically, but like, does that like a struggle for you? Do you ever go home at night, like, you know, just cry, you know, to sleep because you just remember all the men you lost? And they're like, no, like, let's put it up for camera. You know what I mean? Like, let's play it up. It's like the 1517 to Paris, where, like, all the people play themselves. Go. You know, like, you know, it's cool, but at the same time, I imagine it'd be pretty traumatizing, you know, like, and it's funny to me how, like, they're just, like, right on the site. Also, where was the mom at? Like, I feel like what was represented to me was the kid was right next to a car, and he's 11 years old, so he didn't drive that car. But then I'm thinking to myself, he probably did. Like, he probably did drive the car.
What if the South, an 11-year-old is like a little man? He's got like a job, he's got a car, dude, he's got a 35-year-old girlfriend. You know what I mean?
Dude, in the South, 11 is 16 in the North. Like, that's how they do it. Yeah. Dude, like, it's so.
It's gonna be like, they don't even, like, yeah.
They're already thinking about how they're gonna pay for their child support at 11.
When we were talking about soldiers and stuff, there's this one Medal of Honor citation I read when I was in, and there was this one guy. Have you ever heard of Dan Daly? He was a famous Marine.
Dan Daly. Maybe.
He fought during I think it was World War II in Korea, and he got 2 Medal of Honors, and he survived both of them. And the first one, they literally gave it to him because he killed like 200 plus people in a battle. And it was literally just like, it was like one of those things where everyone was like retreating, and he was in a bird's nest, and he was like covered by like sandbags.
Yeah.
As he was just like, and he was like the only guy left, and it was like kind of funny to think, like, we're just gonna give you a Medal of Honor just because you just killed an insane number of people.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying though. Like, does it not strike? Yeah, does it not strike? Because here's the one thing. Like, I know my grandpa Joe, like my great grandpa Joe, he got a Purple Heart because he literally, what happened was there's this bomb, or this grenade that went off and derailed this train, and he was on it with a bunch of people, and he carried he blew out his eye. I think it blew out his arm too, or it affected this side of his body. But anyways, he literally carried all of his men in his platoon, not platoon, maybe, I don't know, but he was a squad, but like 10 men to safety. Like, he went back, you know, he had a gun in one hand and carried them all back, like on his back and everything. Like, that's amazing. Like, that's amazing.
Well, there's a lot of stuff like that. Like, usually, like, because we read a lot of when you get a Medal of Honor, you get what they call a citation. It's a Medal of Honor citation, which is like a little paragraph that says this is what this person did to get the Medal of Honor. So
yeah,
there's this one guy who he had a platoon that was pinned down on one side of the street in Iraq, and they had to cross the street to get to safety to like save these civilians. But like, the terrorists were like shooting anything that went in the street. It was like they were pinned; they couldn't get across the street. And so what he did, he took a Humvee, but it wasn't an armored Humvee. It was just like the sheet metal RVs where the bullets went right through it.
Yeah,
it wasn't even there. He just took it and just drove it in the way, and gave his platoon like seconds to get across the street. And he got but I remember thinking, like, that's a guy who deserves it, because he did that knowing full well, I'm driving into a bullet. I'm driving my head into a bullet. Like,
well,
jump on a grenade, you know?
Yeah. And I wouldn't say necessarily he knew that he was going to drive into a bullet as much as he just was probably going to die. Like, if it doesn't matter how he dies, as much as that he probably will die, you know. and that
doing something crazy, you know.
Yeah, and that's what I mean, is that, like, it's weird to me when you celebrate like just mass death. You know what I mean? Like you're like, yeah, you did. Like you're like, here's the thing. Here's kind of, and this is like kind of silly in a way, but like imagine like you don't think that the 9/11 dudes got Medal of Honors like in and for whatever platoon they were part of. You know what I mean? Like I bet they're like
SEAL Team 6 got it because the thing is that they didn't do anything higher than what they were.
Oh no. I meant the guys who did 9/11 on the other side. I meant
They got their 17.
I meant Al Qaeda. But I mean like I'm saying like the Al Qaeda guys. They're celebrating that, and I think it's weird to me in the sense of like I don't know, mass death. While I can see why people like celebrate the this person helped us survive. To me, I don't know. It's like to me, like you said, I feel like it has to be a sacrificial kind of medal, and that doesn't mean you have to die. It just means you're willing to die.
Yeah, it's like you have to put your like they were in. You ever see the movie Black Hawk Down?
No, but I've seen parts of it.
So it was a true story, and there were these two guys that got Medal of Honors, and because what happened was they were in the helicopter, these two guys, and their job was just to kind of like shoot from the helicopter, and they ran out of ammunition, and all they had was like their service rifles, and they saw like a platoon getting like overwhelmed by Somalis, like about to like die, and so they're like, bring us down, we don't care, and they're like, you're not supposed to go down there, like you're gonna die. And so then they did it anyway. They're like, we're doing it. And so they rappelled down from the helicopter, went with the platoon, and they died with the platoon. And so those two people got a Medal of Honor because they literally jumped into like a gunfire.
Not
even, it wasn't even their job. Like they're supposed to go back to base type of thing. Like,
that's what, exactly. And that's what I mean is like, it's just, I like, those are the ones I think you earn. But I was actually about to tell you this about Black Hawk Down. This is a crazy fact. Saddam Hussein handed that movie out to all of his like people, like all of his generals, I think, or something like that, and they watched the movie like they would watch it to train against American soldiers. They like literally they used it to learn how the American military like fought and stuff. Which, by the way, here's the thing: if I was a director, because that was Ridley Scott, who did also like Blade Runner, he did a bunch of movies like Gladiator and stuff. But dude, if I heard that and it was my movie, that would either be the highest compliment I've ever gotten or like the worst, right? Like that either keep me up at night or that would be something that I'm like, dude, they're studying my movie so they can fight people. Like that's how good my movie was. Like, that's how realistic it was.
Kill thousands of Americans. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying, right? Like it's both a compliment, it's both because it's so realistic, right? Like you're like, look, I made a movie so realistic that like even people are bragging about it. yeah. Well, that's how I felt. That's how I felt about Platoon. Everybody always loves Platoon. I love Platoon, right? I think Platoon's great, but like to me, it's silly in the sense of like sometimes you see war movies that are too real. You know what I mean? I feel like every now and then you see a war movie that's so real. It's like I don't ever want to see that again. Like it's kind of like I was telling you about that movie where they had the rape scene in it. I meant the grape scene. I'm gonna have to beep that out. But
wait, which movie was that?
Irreversible. That's the one I told you about where they had like a 10-minute scene. I think we talked about this. I brought it up before.
10 minutes.
Dude. Dude. And it was so weird and crazy to me in the sense that I think it really captures to some extent like how that feels. But like that doesn't mean I want to watch it again ever again. Right? Like that's not something I want to relive, you know?
Well, I thought that Apocalypse Now was way more intense than Platoon. Because Apocalypse Now really had like Marlon Brando's character who thought he was like a god and like cutting people's heads off and stuff. Like it was a lot more like almost like ritualistic and like spiritual.
Well, that's kind of why I like it more, because to me it's more about like how the war affects the soul, right? That's what how I took about Apocalypse Now. Whereas I think Platoon is just Oliver Stone. Yeah. Oliver Stone actually went over to Vietnam and he just basically made it, his story, you know what I mean, into a movie. And I think that like I think there's place for both. I just mean I want to go through war again. I mean, I don't know. And my grandpa was in Vietnam. Both my grandpas were, but one of them died when I was like 6 months old. The other one died later on, but he would tell me, dude, how it was just, and I remember asking him if he ever killed anybody. And his response was the most genuine response I've ever heard anybody who's ever responded to that was, where he said, like, honestly, I don't know. Like, I was so scared. I just fired where I saw gunfire, And he's like, I could have killed someone. I couldn't have, It's a 50-50 shot.
Well, that's kind of how it would be. I feel like in the haze of war, you're firing shots, but I mean, unless you're like up close and personal, you can't really know if you killed the person.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. People always act like I think, and that's what I don't like sometimes in war movies. They always have this depiction of like the hero, you know, the guy who's the, you know, the Jason Statham of the group, who's like, I got this, you know. And I remember, and he goes out there and he kills everybody, you know, and he's like, this is a great job. And he was like, wow, you know. I remember somebody, it was a World War II veteran, said he was watching World War II movies, and he said he laughed at the idea that somebody would hold on to a grenade after they pulled the pin. Because he said that, like, back then, during World War II, like, grenades would just rain. Like, he said grenades weren't nearly as predictable as, like, people think. Like, they wouldn't just go off when you threw them, you know what I mean? Like, he said there were many times when they'd malfunction and people would just, like, people pull a pin and just blow up, you know what I mean? And he said that it's laughable to think anybody even hold on to a grenade longer than they had to.
Well, yeah, nowadays, as long as that little the lever is pulled towards the
Yeah,
can,
yeah.
I guess back then it was such a shaky thing that because in
Yeah.
World War I, they had the thing and it was like a long stick.
Dude,
Dude.
dude.
I saw I actually just watched Wings. Remember we were talking about Wings? I just finished watching. Dude, Wings is it's literally a huge sweeping 2.5 hour long World War I epic.
Really?
Yeah, and there was a scene where they had like real footage of Teddy Roosevelt in it. Like,
Wow.
Movie, which was really cool. It's in there for like us, like you blink and you miss it, but it's like
Dang, that's still sick.
because he was alive during World War I. He wasn't president during World War I, but he was like kind of trying to rally the nation, like like boost
Yeah.
it.
Was he not? He was president right before World War I, right?
The president during World War I for America
Was Woodrow Wilson. Yeah, no, I know. I'm saying he was right before because it was him, then Taft, and then he got mad at Taft because he chose Taft as a replacement, and then ran against Taft.
For some reason, I thought he was like 1890s or like right around the turn of the century, like 1899, 1901, like around that.
Really, I'm pretty sure because I mean, you could look it up, but yeah, because he ran he was part of the Bull Moose Party. He ran against Taft.
Well, he didn't make it though. That was the
No. Yeah, but I'm saying he ran against Taft and he split the votes. That's why Woodrow Wilson won. Which, by the way, that's the stupidest thing you can do is split the votes like that. That's why Abe Lincoln became president. Anyways, who's a great president?
1901 to 1909. So I guess right around there.
Yeah.
So who was president right after? Who was the 27th?
It was Taft. It was Taft, and it was Wilson.
Taft. Okay. Taft. Was he a 2-term or 1-term? Let me see.
I can't remember.
Okay, he was a 1-termer. Yeah. 1909 to 1913.
Yeah, and then it was Wilson because Wilson won because they split the vote. But what I was saying was that it's so stupid when you see political parties do that. Like when they're saying like, oh, if I don't win, say like the Democratic nom, then I'm going to run anyways because then you split the vote. You know what I mean? And I'm saying when you split the vote, I mean that's almost guaranteeing the other person to win.
Well, didn't that happen when?
That happened with Lincoln.
Initially,
Who?
when Bill Clinton ran, didn't someone split the Republican vote?
Ross Perot, but Ross Perot didn't split it as heavily as like other people would have. But yeah, he split it enough. A lot of people think for Clinton to win.
Was he Republican?
Ross Perot, he's part of the Green Tea Party or something like that. He's part of a smaller party, but he was Republican enough. Like he was Republican adjacent. Do you get what I'm saying? Like he certainly was more conservative than liberal. But yeah, what I'm saying though is the same way. That's how Lincoln was. Remember they ran like the 4 Dems up against Lincoln when they like nominated 4 people and they all ran against him, and Lincoln won. Yeah, they won. They had like they didn't. I don't think they had the nom back then like the same way we do now. But yeah, Lincoln basically won because the South just split all their votes between 4 people. You know, which obviously praise God because Lincoln was probably our best president. Honestly, I love Lincoln.
Yeah, it's weird. My dad has like such a varied opinion about it. He thinks to him it's his least favorite president. Because in his so he said what he would have done, which I kind of agree with this. I kind of don't. So from his perspective, like let's say you're president in the 1860s, right before Civil War, because he was president right before, like he didn't become president.
Yeah,
it was like right before Civil War happened was when he was president.
Yeah, well, yeah, because he was president when it happened, but yeah, he was before.
Okay, yeah, and so like my dad was saying he should have just let the South become their own country, like let them become the Confederate States of America, let their fall, because a confederacy in definition has never, it's like communism, it's never fully worked out like on paper. Every place that tries to have a confederacy, it just kind of collapses in on itself. And so he was saying let them be the Confederate States of America, don't go to war, let them be their own thing. Maybe 10-20 years later like they'll literally be poor, impoverished, starving, and then they'll come back. Like, you know what I mean? He was like,
Yeah,
and even
yeah.
if they don't, he said, I would rather have 2 separate countries than 600,000 people dead. Now, obviously, you know, hindsight's 2020. Like, we can look at the Civil War and how bad it was, and like want to prevent it.
Yeah. Well, and I do think your dad, and obviously I really like your dad. I do think your dad, a continual theme is he wants to save as many lives as possible, which I totally agree with, by the way. I'm not saying we need to go out there and just start nuking people, but I do think sometimes, like, I don't know, like war is war, and I hate to say this, like, but like war is war. Like, that's how it, like, if the Confederacy, if we fought them or didn't fight them, right? I think war would have broken out. I think either way, war would have broken out because either A, they need our resources, they need what we have because they're failing, so they need to fight us in order to gain something, right? Like, I do think either way war would have broken out. Now, maybe they collapsed, but it's similar to Germany. I mean, you think World War One? You remember what happened is they drained them of all their resources. Now they're all impoverished right after World War One. Now they have no way out. The only way out is to go to war. Do you remember that? Because Hitler comes in, Hitler builds them up and starts building in the factories. That's how you regenerate the economy.
Well, they were also very downtrodden, very like, you should be ashamed to be German, like very like.
Yeah, it was slightly different.
Shameful like nation, and so if there's a guy who's coming around being like, "We're the best nation on earth, we're the superior race," like, then you're like, you're like, at least there's one guy saying something good about it.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I just meant, what I mean is that, like, I just feel like when you put somebody in the corner, when you put their back against the corner, yeah, it would have taken longer, obviously, over a longer period of time. I just don't think it would have ended up well, though. I think the war was inevitable, you know? I think you have this quote. You tell me this quote all the time.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
Some people do think it's the most inevitable war ever.
Yeah, I wouldn't say the most ever. I think World War II probably is the most inevitable because at some point America was going to have to get in there and, you know, and start showing them who is king. But yeah, I mean, I do think outside of World War II, I'd say World War. Well, it got so tough though because also World War I was pretty inevitable in the sense of like they really needed to knock it off with all that ally stuff. You know what I mean? Where they're like, hey, we ally again. Hey, we're teamed up against you. Like that's what World War I really was. It was just a bunch of nations being like, hey, we're best friends with this nation and we're best friends with that nation. And then they're like, oh, you don't like my best friend. I'm not going to like you now.
Well,
like
that's kind of my argument against NATO now. Is I'm kind of like, all right, NATO started out as a good thing when there was like 3 countries in it, but now that there's like I don't even know how many countries. There's like 20 countries in NATO, and so it's like I think that once you get alliances that are so big. And then Russia has its own version of NATO. I forgot what it's called, but it has like its own version with like other countries. And so they're all like, it's these 2 huge forces that are coming together, and it's like all it takes is one person to throw the first shot. And it's like,
I mean, well, okay, but let's quit. I want to say this on record. Let's quit acting like Russia's version of NATO even compares to NATO, right? Like, I'm not trying to be mean, but
like saying if their only ally was China, that'd be enough. I mean,
well, it'd be enough. It'd be enough to start a war. I don't think it'd be enough to win.
no,
Here's the thing.
Enough to like start World War III.
Here's the reason why I think every country inevitably needs to keep America around is because we are the highest consumers. And I always bring this up because we are dollar signs. Even if we're a bunch of cattle in a pasture that they can just shoot and kill, you know what I mean? And that we're just bringing them money, right? We're just a money train. Imagine they're okay. So we're gone now. We're still a money train. Like I'm saying, worst case scenario, if they don't even view us as people, I'm saying we're still bringing a lot of money. You know what I mean?
That's why I think that like if there is ever a president who wants to like start a trade embargo with China, he's gonna get suicided or he's gonna get like AFK'd. Because like
Suicided.
As soon as you start messing around with like, billionaires' money, like billion,
Yeah.
several billionaires, like hey, like you're gonna go from being a billionaire to having almost no money. That's when like phone calls get made. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Honestly, dude, here's the way that you get, I mean, it's funny because when you need to do it, all you need to do to get China to quit doing what China's doing is to literally have insane tax breaks. You know what I mean? Where they're like, I mean, it would be stupid not to do it here. You know what I mean?
What do you mean, like to incentivize?
So like, yeah. So like, for instance, say Amazon, which I don't like Amazon, by the way, on the record, I don't like Amazon all that much, but I do think if you want Amazon to never make anything in China, right? How would you stop them? You give them a lot of benefits, right? Like you make it incentivize them, you know? The only issue that would come up in scenarios like that is at some point, right? Amazon does get more money by being more international than it does, local, in terms of like just in America, right? They would get a lot more money by just being very, you know. But the thing is that it's silly to me in the sense that I don't know. I think we should be a lot more. You know, people say laissez-faire with our market. I think we should be a lot more concerned about how people are doing business in a way that it does affect America, right? Because if you're just doing business with China, then that's going to impact the American dollar, the American economy.
It's different than it ever was. Because now we have companies that are literally like taking over the world. Like Amazon, I don't know what their next step is. Like how many things can they buy? How many companies can they own? They just bought Whole Foods. Same with Disney. Disney bought Fox. You know how crazy that is? Like,
well, Amazon, yeah.
So much stuff like Disney, Amazon, Walmart. Like there's so many huge companies. Like they keep buying. They keep sucking up. They're like Kirby. They keep getting
at some point.
More and more giant.
Yeah, at some point they are going to break though. That's what happens, right? Like it's like the Titanic. Like because they're going to have to separate. Like the government's going to step in. Like like you said, they're already monitoring Disney. Dude, they can't. They're the potential for growth can only be in house, meaning that like everything Disney does, you can't purchase anything more, right? Like if they purchased Warner Brothers, I don't know, Warner Brothers might not be big enough, but I'm saying if they purchased another.
It doesn't have to be even entertainment. They could just buy Ford, or they can buy like something that doesn't even have to do with it. They could buy AMC, or they can buy like, you know what I mean?
Actually, they can't. Target. I don't know. You do know that they can't buy AMC. I don't know if you knew that. I think there's like a law that says movies can't be shown by the same, like the distributor of the movie can't also own the theater that's being shown in, or like by and large, yeah. Because what happened was that a lot of these companies, like Warner Brothers, would have their own theater. Not Disney because Disney wasn't around, but Warner Brothers, like Fox, they'd all have their own theaters, and then they would just show their own movies. And that for some reason that was like a big issue because they could just control any other distributor that wasn't owned by them. So all these independent distributors weren't able to get in, and they would just like bully them basically to do whatever they wanted. I don't think it's like a law, but anyways, they broke it up.
Is there a law saying that Amazon can't just buy Chevy? They can't just buy GM. You know what I mean? Or they can't just buy something that doesn't have anything to do with their industry. But
yeah.
They're still sucking. They're still growing up. They're still, you know what I mean? They're still sucking up more industry, more of everything.
Yeah, but diversification within like Amazon's business model, right, is why they've been able to grow like that. So, and I don't think that they're. And I know that's what you're saying, is that they're just going to keep growing theoretically through other bilaterally through other industries. Yeah. I just don't. Here's the problem, though. Again, whenever you get too big, it's the same way with like everything. When England became too big, right? What happened to England? Oh, like they had to do with mass revolution. Like the sun never set on the English, on the English Empire. You know what I mean? Like that's like I'm saying, like in the same way, when you get too big, you become too vulnerable to certain things. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
I think when it comes to companies, I think the odds are eventually it's gonna like split into different companies. Like I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. At some point you have to, because why wouldn't you? You know what I mean? I'm saying at first Amazon's this amazing thing.
Does it make financial sense to do that? Does it make financial sense to stay like a monster, like stay like a huge? To me, first off, I think this is where egos play a big role. If I was working for Amazon and I helped them build their automobile company, if I bought Ford with them and they were like, hey, run it for me, why don't I just do it on my own? Why don't I find another company or create a company that could do that? Like, I mean, why do I need them? Well, because they already have all of everything set up. None of it is coming out of your pocket.
Yeah, but that's the thing, though.
You're taking a multi-million-dollar risk on it failing.
But that's the thing, though, is that's where Jeff Bezos, though, right? Like that's why he started Amazon, right? Because he had that one job, and then he's like, I don't want this job anymore. I'm gonna go start off Amazon. And so I'm just saying, like, yeah, it's safe, but that's
why someone might want to stay with the company instead of doing their own thing.
No, I agree. I just meant like there's always people out there, who want to start their own thing. Like if somebody said, hey, Ethan, you want to join our podcast? You know what I mean? We're pretty big, You'd be like, yeah, that's cool. You'd start it for a while because it's a really great opportunity. But I'm saying at some point you're going to be like, I want to do my own thing now. This is really cool and I really enjoy it. But like, I'm in a new phase of life now. You know what I mean? Like right now starting out, that would be an amazing opportunity for you, right? But like if you're, yeah.
If we had the chance to like become one of the Gas Station Network podcasts, that would be insane. But what happens with a lot of those podcasts is if they get such a huge following of their own, they eventually just, become their own.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Cause that's what happens, And so I think the same thing with companies, but it's funny to imagine like Amazon, like produced like everything, like even the money is produced by Amazon. Our government money has in Amazon we trust.
Well, it's weird. How it is now, if you think about it, all our money is made by a private company. The Federal Reserve is a private company just as much as Coca-Cola or McDonald's. They're not.
I didn't know that.
They're not government affiliated. They called it Federal Reserve, but it's not. It is a company just like Chuck E. Cheese. You know what I mean? It's not
Really?
government workers that make it. No. Now they do have government regulations that they have to subside by, but they make the money.
But wait, but what else? What else do they produce outside of money?
That's it. That's all they make. They print all of it.
Okay, but then so they're not the government, but like they're. I mean,
So they were a giant bank. They were just like
Yeah.
the biggest bank in Manhattan. That's what they called themselves, the Federal Reserve. And then they were so huge, they got bigger and bigger and bigger. They were like Chase Manhattan Bank. And then they were like, hey, we can just, because what happened, I don't know if you knew this, but what happened up until 1861 is that all paper currency was made by each individual bank. So each individual bank had their own set of paper currency. It was called obsolete banknotes. They don't exist
Huh.
anymore. It's big on collectors market. So like you go to the First National Bank of Missouri or something, they would have
Yeah.
a currency and it would say First National Bank of Missouri $5 bill. And what happened is the only true currency was silver and gold. So you'd give them $5 worth of gold, and because you were worried about it getting stolen, and they give you a $5 certificate, and you could spend that however you want. You know what I mean? But the problem with that was there's so many different banks currencies that if a bank closed, that's it. You just have they have your gold, and you have a bunch of useless pieces of paper that don't mean anything. And so like, and then the same thing happened, and so like that bank that became so huge wanted to just print all of the money everywhere in the whole country. They're like, we can just be the biggest bank there is. You don't have to have a bunch
Well,
of banks,
well, yeah, that's really cool. Actually, I didn't know that. What year did you say they?
I have it in
19 what?
1913.
1913.
Yeah. So up
It's
until
weird. It
then-
didn't.
Up until then,
Go ahead.
The U.S. did print their own currency for a short period of time. But the thing is that all of the regulations on making money all had to do with coins, because when they were writing the Constitution, no one had paper currency. It was all about coinage, like you know what I mean, silver. And
Yeah.
gold. And so they didn't think of making rules about paper money. So like a private company totally prints it, and the Secretary of the Treasury has the authority to say like how much they can print and when. But
Yeah.
it's like-
Okay. I do want to say this though, because okay, so there's a distinction here though. A privatized company that has a government contract that does nothing else but fulfill that government contract, I think we could agree is basically a government company. Now, granted, they are privatized, but if it's interesting because I'm saying that if they don't do anything else, then they're basically like just a government company being run privately. Do you get what I'm saying?
well, they used to, but they don't.
Yeah. Okay, so but I'm saying right now that's all they do because obviously they get paid
That's all
handsomely.
for 100 years.
Dude, do you think that they print out their own paychecks? They're like, all right, that's 1,001.
That was a big problem. I don't know if you knew that. That was like why everyone was getting upset about it. Is because all these millionaires that were involved in the Federal Reserve were literally printing themselves their own money for themselves. Because it was just like, we own the money. We can
Yeah.
print our own money. Like, you know how like people will say, "Oh man, our business is going good. We've been printing money, man." What if they're like, "No, I literally print my own money. I like take sheets of it home. I don't even have to."
No,
copy it." You know what I mean?
Money is literally printed for me.
Or like, what do you mean? Like, no, I literally, I stamp it. I print it. And people were getting rich, and there was a lot of embezzlement issues when it first started. There's a lot of people that were thrown in jail. It was like a huge issue.
Is that why was that a big thing with the bank collapsing, like the bank system?
Well, the
You're talking about, like,
collapsed
right-
in 1929, so it would have been
Yeah.
like 15 years later.
Well, that's what I mean, though. I mean, usually, especially back then, I'm sure they found out a little too late,
Yeah.
right? Like they probably didn't find out right away. Like, I mean, now you have like cameras and stuff, but like back then, they were probably like, well, how are these people rich all of a sudden?
Well, we were one of the first countries to have a bill that wasn't backed by anything. It was just backed by our government. So like,
Yeah,
up
backed
until,
by- Yeah.
Up until a certain time, every piece of paper money there was a piece of gold that it was
Yeah,
for
represented that.
represented it, and the paper money outpaced the amount of gold that we had. That was a real problem.
Dude, what we really need to do? We need to go back down to like when like soda was a nickel. We need to.
I miss that. And remember me and you were talking about how if we ever get our own theater, we really want to get one of those old Nickelodeon machines where you can like
Yeah,
nickel,
yeah.
and you can look in like the little microscope looking thing, and you can watch.
Yeah.
It was like a little like 30-second video. It was like so small. You know what I mean? But
Dude, still though, dude. That's the thing.
Though. That's still cool.
I love things like that. Like, I think it's honestly, I think it's so cool. Like, I still love DVDs. I love all those things. I like old things. I don't know. That's just,
old machinery is really cool.
yeah, dude. It's, that's actually one of the things I'm really jealous of with video games is like old video game consoles are so cool. Like, I don't know, because like, you know how awesome it is just to be like, yo, dude, like you still got this game, and then you have a Wii, and we just go to your place and play Wii, but it's like a give me a second, I gotta dust it off, you know what I mean, like it's just, I don't know, it's so cool. It's kind of like vinyl.
Oh, I know, right? A part of me
But
wants to like watch a movie, like one of those. Remember those old made-for-TV movies we were watching?
Yeah,
I really
yeah.
wanted to watch one with the commercials recorded.
Yeah,
You know
dude,
what I mean?
yeah,
Just watching
love.
one like that. Oh, dude, actually, do you want me to share that? I actually saw.
Yeah.
That. Okay, let me find it real quick on YouTube. So I was watching this movie called Heat Wave, which stars the same guy that was in the movie Runaway. Remember?
Yeah.
Because it was the ABC movie of the week.
Okay. Yeah, the ABC movie of the week.
Yeah, hold on one sec. I think you'll enjoy this. Okay, made for TV movies. It's in that one. For those of you who, if you ever want to watch a made for TV movie, like if you're ever like, man, I can't find movies to watch on YouTube, you'll never run out of movies to watch on YouTube if you watch made for TV movies. I mean, there's literally, how many did we count? Was it like
300 at least?
Yeah.
Or were there 1400? Were there? That's right. That's right. There was.
700, and there's another one that was
Yeah.
like 400.
There was one that was like, that was like 300, and that's the list we were picking from originally. And then I was like, wait, dude, look at this list. And I was like, look, it's 1100 or like 1400. And you're like, oh, dude, let's pick from that one.
Oh, by the way, neither of us have discussed that everything, everywhere, all at once was one Best Picture.
Yeah. Have you seen that movie?
I haven't. I kind of want to see it now. I actually just watched 2 Best Picture winners back to back. It was Wings and Crash. I just saw Crash. So.
Oh, yeah.
Have you seen Crash before?
Yeah, I've seen Crash, of course.